Of course, it's Barbie Day. Barbie Day here at the Cherokee Nation. I'm going to have help from a very special person, but I got to show off her outfit because Jazzy's wearing a Resi Barbie outfit. We just had the Barbie event today, and it was a great one at the Chota Center. So we're celebrating Wilma Mankiller. I am not dressed in pink. You'll soon see I'm dressed in black, but Jazzy's carrying the load for me in celebration. But we had a great time today. So I'm going to turn it over to Jazzy. She's going to point the camera at me. I'm going to give very brief remarks here to kick us off. All right, very good. I'm going to get close so everybody can see me. Well, folks, it's good to be back together. We are changing the format a bit of this board. You know, the reason we set up this body, the deputy chief and I, in 2019 is because we wanted to get feedback from at-large representatives. Certainly, we can't get everybody on the line, so having a group representative of various at-large organizations seemed like the right thing to do to get feedback. I think in some ways it served us very well. We were able to communicate some really important information, I think, during the pandemic that really required us delivering a lot of information to you, and hopefully that helped get it out throughout the at-large communities. Of course, we got a lot of feedback during that time, and it enabled us to change some policies to provide more resources to at-large organizations and even at-large citizens. So I think it's been a beneficial use of our time, but I also think as time has gone by, we've recognized that we've done a lot more talking to you and at you than hearing from you. So we're changing the format a bit. I'm going to keep it brief and just hit a few highlights. As I said, we just celebrated the Wilma Mankiller Barbie here in Tahlequah, and I think it's something to celebrate because it sort of reminded us about Wilma Mankiller's legacy, as if we needed a reminder. But when you get a group of people together that worked with her, you get Charlie Soap, her husband, you get Felicia Olaya, her only living daughter. You get them sharing stories. It really brings home what a powerful woman that she was, what an enduring legacy that she has, and the opportunity to share her story further with the world is important, whether it's through the quarter that was issued by the Mint a couple of years ago or the Barbie that Mattel has issued. So I think we had good reason to celebrate today. A couple of other things to highlight you on. Getting ready to go to Washington, D.C. Once again, the deputy chief and I have been there a lot lately on different missions, but very important missions. This week is the White House Tribal Nations Summit. This is a gathering of tribal leaders and federal officials to talk about issues of importance to Indian country. Often there's initiatives announced by whatever administration happens to be in office. The Biden administration announced some initiatives during the times that it had the White House Tribal Nations Conference. We expect something this week, and maybe to reflect back on recent years about how impactful, good and bad, some of the federal policy has been. And certainly there's a lot I think we can look at in federal policy in terms of infrastructure dollars, healthcare dollars that are pluses, but there's always room for improvement. A week ago, I was at a Health and Human Services Tribal Advisory Committee in which we were not only expressing appreciation for some of the policies, but also pushing for more. There's not enough funding in healthcare. We know that. There's often not enough respect paid to tribes overall, although I see that's changing. But respect comes in very concrete terms. In other words, are federal funds directly available to tribes, or do we have to compete with states or wait for the states to send down dollars? It shouldn't be that way. It should be a relationship between the United States and tribes. The deputy chief and I serve on different advisory bodies. He chairs the Centers for Disease Control Tribal Advisory Committee, for example, and we try to advocate those interests. So that's what we've been doing lately in Washington, D.C. Something else happening this week in D.C. It was scheduled for last week, and that's the vote on Sarah Hill as federal district judge for the Northern District. She would be the first Native woman in the history of the country to serve as a federal judge in Oklahoma. So she had a committee hearing nearly a month ago. The deputy chief was present. The vote was scheduled for last week, but as things in Washington tend to go, the vote didn't happen. I'm told that's sort of the normal part of the process. We expect the vote to happen Thursday, and we'll certainly keep everyone updated. Sarah Hill, supremely qualified for that job. I was sorry to lose her as Attorney General of the Cherokee Nation. She did a magnificent job. She's going to be a great federal judge. Her successor as AG, Chad Harsha, is doing a fine job. So those are a couple of updates that we have. I wanted to let you know here closer to home, you may have been following some of this news. There's been a lot of issues with tribal car tags across the state. I wanted to just break that down briefly. I don't mean to sound like a broken record. I know I often complain about this elected official a great deal, but I have to. The governor of the state of Oklahoma has caused a great degree of chaos in the area of tribal tags. And keep in mind, tribes have been issuing tags within the state of Oklahoma for decades and decades. That includes the Cherokee Nation. Some tribes have compacts. We have a compact with the state. It's an agreed upon set of rules and policies that's embodied in state law and tribal law that governs how we issue tags. How we issue tags at the Cherokee Nation is we issue them from our own tag office to our citizens. In 2013, we extended our tag operations by an additional compact such that we have authority to issue tags all over the state. No matter where you live in the state of Oklahoma, you can apply for and get a Cherokee Nation tag. And of course, we have lots of tags all over the place. Where does that money go? Well, most of it goes to education. 38% goes to education. By the way, Oklahoma commits 37% of its tag revenue to education. We commit 38%. The rest of it goes to things that you would predict: law enforcement, infrastructure, things of that nature. I think the money's all well spent. You just ask the public schools if they think that the money is well spent, because they spend it and they need it, particularly at a time when the state has often not done right, at least in my opinion, by schools in terms of its budget. I lay all that out to say this has been going fine. Tribal tags have been going fine. The governor, about a month ago, declared that if a tribe was issuing tags to citizens that lived outside of its reservation or its jurisdiction boundary, that was illegal, and he directed the Oklahoma Highway Patrol to ticket those individuals for failing to pay taxes to the state. Can you imagine that? We're in the 21st century. Tribes are exercising sovereignty. We've been doing car tag operations for decades, and the governor decides to declare essentially an attack on tribes and our sovereignty and our ability to issue tags and engage in that sort of taxation. Cherokee Nation has a compact, and initially the governor spokesperson said something about, well, compact tribes are fine, but then the media pressed the governor's office on Cherokee Nation, and the governor now says, well, the Cherokee Nation's compact is expired. It expired in August. That all stems from this summer when the legislature passed a law to extend our compact an additional year. The governor vetoed that legislation. The legislature went back into session and overrode his veto. So the law of the land is that our compact continues on. Keep in mind, a compact between a state and a tribe, it has to be approved by the state and the tribe. It's an exercise of sovereignty on both sides. It often works extraordinarily well. It's always going to work well if it's in our best interest. And I can tell you that car tag compact is in our best interest. So for the governor to do this, he's created a lot of chaos, a lot of legal uncertainty. We are going to protect and defend the Cherokee Nation's right as a sovereign to issue car tags. That means within our reservation, we can issue car tags, and we're going to protect that extended right outside of the Cherokee Nation within the state of Oklahoma to issue car tags, because that's the law of the land. It's an exercise of sovereignty. It's the state's own law. Everybody in the state seems to get this, except the governor. But the governor's in a position of power. The governor can direct the Highway Patrol to take certain actions through the Department of Public Safety. He can't control the Attorney General of the state of Oklahoma, and I'm confident the Attorney General understands the law and sees it our way. He certainly can't dictate to the Cherokee Nation our legal position, and our legal position is clear. But ladies and gentlemen, this is bigger than car tax. Every one of these issues that the governor sort of picks on is bigger than the single issue. It's about fundamental rights of tribes. It's about our sovereignty. It's not just about crushing a tribe's ability to issue tags in a certain geographic area. It's about really pushing back, turning back the clock on tribal sovereignty. We can't let that happen. So I want us all to stay vigilant. I want us all to stay knowledgeable. I want you to have confidence that we have a great legal team, a great government relations team, and I think we're in a position of strength to work through this. One of the ways we'll do it is we'll work with the legislature on a bipartisan basis where we have very good relations to extend the compact even further. That seems to be a good strategy. But never a dull moment with this governor. We always have to stay on our toes. I want to thank everybody for their time and attention. I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. here in a moment and advocate for the nation's interest and join with other tribal leaders and remind the United States the Cherokee Nation is still here. We're a sovereign nation. We're a great nation. Thank you all very much. Hello,
Chief. All right. I guess I got to get better on the introduction. I'm going to work on that. All right. Deputy, do you want to say anything?
Yes, I'll be brief. Just CO everyone. It's good to be here. As Chief said, we got to spend a little bit of time as we probably should each day, with the folks that mean so much, either in our personal lives or in our tribal lives. And this morning, to memorialize Wilma and to hear some stories from friends, some of her mentees, and just see the overall a great day. But here just work as usual. Really excited to hear what's going on in your neck of the woods, where you're at, what your community groups are doing, what you think about the Gadugi Corps. I know we've been hitting the ground running. Kane and Duncan has been working with Sean Crittenden, former council member, both of them council members from Adair County, talking about that Gadugi Corps and what is that? What is it that we really want to do with that? There's kind of an emphasis in 5 different areas of that, but my major concern is making sure that we are open in our communication and our understanding, and help educate individuals on how they could be a part of something that really will be transformative. If you look at our scholarships, we have that community service component on there, and I think when I think of community service and volunteerism, I start to think of so much more and what it means in my area. There's a group of ladies, and they're often overlooked a lot because all they do is they make quilts, right? But in my world, when I was growing up, those were the ladies that took care of you through the winters, through the summers, whether they were cooking. And these cozy quilters, they're volunteers. They take funds out of their own pocket and other places. Some of them are native, some of them are not. The majority are native. Well, this last year, I've been able to give them some charitable contribution funds, and they've been making quilts for individuals that are out there, mainly a lot of Cherokees that need a little comforting during these holiday seasons. And this last year, they volunteered to help out a lot of our veterans. And so, these are just little efforts that, I mean, they make the biggest difference in the lives of the individuals around. This is what people are talking about at the dinner tables and at the community organizations in it within the nation and outside of the nation at the at-large groups. My family's growing. Been trying to keep up with 3 boys. Got one finally in college, and I don't know. We're hoping that'll stick. But it's he's a good worker. But I'm always telling him that you got a long life, hopefully. Son, so go enjoy, get some education. The other 2 boys are headlong into sports, and also we have at the Warner household, we've got a new show pig. So we've got a little Chester pig, and that's something that we try to do every morning and every evening in between all of the things that my kids are doing. My wife still working at Redbird Health Clinic and within the nation. And so we're just trying to make hay while the sun's shining, and the good Lord's put a lot of good people around me, my family, and throughout this tribe. And I just want to be able to be a small piece of what it means today to pave the road for our future generations. So if you have any questions of me directly about something that is on your mind, please always feel free to reach out. We're just here. We're here to serve and here to do the work of the people and make sure our government is represented, make sure that Indian country is represented. And right now we at Chief mentioned our tribal advisory committees. We're working on our winter TAC in Atlanta. We get to go back to Atlanta. They're the headquarters for the CDC, which is actually tribal homelands to the Muskogee Creek and the Cherokee Nation. They're always good to recognize that. But furthermore, we want them to recognize what our ancestors fought for, those tribal set-aside dollars, and what a true self-governance tribe looks like, one that understands sovereignty. So this next trip, when we're headed back, we're not so much listening to the CDC about the opportunities for funding within the 14 different CIOs that they have, but we're taking Tribal Sovereignty 101 and how to engage the tribes to try to educate them a little bit on what we've been, because we talk to them once everybody reaches that level of trust, but they're just not quite getting it. That's why it's ever so important that we make sure that we, I want to support individuals that want to go work in skilled trades and skilled labor, but I also want everyone to understand that I am very supportive of those individuals and looking to get these internships for these young students, these young and native minds into these federal programs that are out there, these federal offices. That way, that level of understanding is a little easier to obtain later on in future generations. So I'll stop there, Savannah, and well, don't. And your introductions are just fine, Savannah. You're doing a great job. I'll put some notes in there later, and I'll send you an email. Okay.
All right. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. Hello, Deputy Secretary of State. Do you want to say anything?
Hello. Yeah, sorry I was a bit late, just come out of another meeting, but I just want to say hello. Thank you guys for joining today. We're going to try to, I'm sure you may have already talked about it, but we definitely want to try to format these a little different to where we're hearing more from you guys and topics that you guys specifically want to discuss. So I don't have anything to say other than that because I want to hear what you guys got to say. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And I see we got Counselor Coates on here. Would you like to say anything? Oh, you're muted.
I just want to echo what Kanan just said as well, that I'm here more to listen to the discussion and really looking forward to it. So glad to be here today. Thanks.
All right, well, I guess we'll just get right into it. So I guess Bruce is not on here. I think he's the only one. I see Cynthia made it on. Cynthia, sorry if that was my fault and you not being able to get in. All right, so first off on the agenda, I've sent this out to all of you guys. I hope you've received it. We got community impact grant updates. So I'm just gonna let you guys just jump in. Any comments that you have, any questions that you have about this, let us know.
Yeah, just I guess to clarify, and Kanan, you may be able to speak to this best, is what is the grant period? I guess the time period ends sometime in 2024, and so that's when all the money has to be spent by. What is that date again?
I think it's September. Did we say September 2024 to have your receipts in? And you'll just send those to cco-grants@cherokee.org.
Okay, so it follows the federal fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for the community impact grant?
I know
I sent out to the groups for input, and I got some, but really what I got, I think is gonna fit better with the discussion of the public health and wellness, so I'm gonna hold it.
Okay.
what I was getting ready to say was the groups that I've spoken to have found the funds to be very helpful as far as doing outreach, and they're starting to try to expand and
Good.
still figure out their programming, but they're all kind of more in the planning stages. I think the 1 year, 1.5 year time period is going to fly by pretty quickly, but everybody's trying to get their work done.
Good. All right. Well, then we will move on. Next on agenda is CCO policies and procedures. Have you guys had a chance to look over those?
I did not.
You did not.
I'll speak up. I did not.
That's okay. All right. Well, I
Before
encourage you guys to read them.
I did get some input, which I'm gonna paraphrase. This person was looking for a community operational structure that would help all Cherokee communities operate systematically as one. The goal would be to help our communities be a community, like one large community. And then in addition to that, I had a question on whether there was any guidance on accepting outside grants or sponsorship of events. And I did like a find feature review of the policies and procedures. I did not find reference to that. I'm thinking we would only need it if CCO imposes any limitations other than what applies to all nonprofit organizations in general.
So basically, are at-large organizations eligible to apply for grants? Is that what they're asking?
To outside organizations.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, okay.
I mean, I
Outside
can,
of Cherokee Nation.
for example, I think local Walmarts sometimes have grant programs, where they'll help sponsor an event or something like that. I think that's the kind of question that it is.
As far as I know, I say yes. I mean, we encourage our organizations on RES to apply for, federal grants and any other type of grants out there. So I think
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah, Patsy, that may be like a holdover from when organizations were chartered underneath the CNCO or whatever
Yeah.
preceded this.
Oh, the CNC.
Yeah, because they were under, and that's why the Houston organization never went through that process, because we didn't want to be tied down to be limited to what was the restraints within the umbrella organization. So I think since we're all independently chartered, there should be no limit on what they can do.
Okay,
And
thank
then-
you.
And then my opinion on the you said it's streamlined or has the same structure for everybody, something like that.
Well, it was, let me go back to it.
Yep, I know you paraphrased.
A community operational structure that would help all Cherokee communities operate systemically as one. The goal would be to help our communities be a community. What that could mean is more interaction between groups. But I didn't have time. It was submitted late. I didn't have time to get clarification.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Otherwise, I think you run the risk of, what works well in Georgia may not work well in California.
Right.
It may maybe need to be a little bit different for Texas. So I think let the organizations figure out how they want to run themselves, but then get some guidance maybe from CCO on here's a structure that has worked well in the past. See if it would work well for your organization.
I will say too, just to add that for our conference next year, we are working on doing as part of the cultural enrichment after conference, we're planning on having a good, I don't know, we're still trying to figure out the time, maybe 4 to 5 hours, where me and Vince will come in and provide some of that training that we give our organizations on RES, whether it's like bylaws, volunteer recruitment, I can't even think of the other trainings that we do, but kind of do a lot of like a little mini training session, and then all organizations, all the at-large organizations will be there together, and you guys can kind of brainstorm. I mean, that's kind of how our orgs do it here on RES. It's just a good time. I mean, everybody's throwing out ideas, and I think it'll be really good for all of you guys to be together and talk about the different things that you guys do in your areas. So,
Hey,
that's something
Savannah.
we're planning.
Savannah, is there ever a time where these orgs all like make I've been to a lot of football games. So right now I'm thinking about a hype video, but an overall video that, with stuff highlighting what they've done, what they're continuing to do. That way they can all share some of these things. Has that ever been done?
No.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, just it sparks some stuff. Then you start, hey, I've seen that lady in Seattle, or I've seen that individual in Houston or whatever. And I start to get that, and each video every time to get, they get a little more creative, but that's one way to share, and we could help kind of pump that out to all the groups.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, I would love for the groups, the at-large groups, to be able to do some of these things to show the at-home groups what we're doing out in California, in Seattle, in Oregon, in Florida, all these different places, and vice versa. Obviously, but it's a little easier for the at-large to see what we're doing here on the res, because we document a lot of stuff through comms, but our comms reach doesn't reach out that far. So it's just something because I'll come back and share. I don't know if for those of you on the line here with us, when I'm talking to a community group at a whatever type of function, if I've been out to an at-large group, I start telling a story about what you guys are doing and vice versa, what's been going on. So just another way to communicate. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good idea. We can add that. Do you guys have anything else on this policies and procedures? All right, I'm gonna move on. All right, resource guide for at-large communities.
Yeah, that was something that we discussed on our pre-meeting about a month ago. And I think Cynthia, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were things like wanting to figure out which different Cherokee Nation treasures or people who have different things are available to come and speak, and if so, is there what the cost is associated with that? Do they expect to be reimbursed for travel? Do they expect like an overnight stay? If it's to Dallas, it's one thing, but if it's to LA, it's something else. That kind of stuff.
That's exactly right. And I apologize, I'm in a noisy place. So what we're looking for is, we were told by Cherokee Nation that each group can have one national treasure come out to present at our meetings, except we don't know what we don't know, in the sense of, is there a list of people that we have access to? And like was just stated, do we give that what's included? And so we just wanted a little bit more information, so everybody has access to it.
And Cynthia, I think it's more than just that one meeting because I think we're supposed to be able to contact Pam for coordination of that one meeting where Cherokee Nation covers the expense. But a lot of the groups also want to be able to have a Cherokee speaker, whether it's by Zoom or whether they have the funds to pay somebody to come at their regular meetings, and nobody really has a good directory of who's available, under what circumstances, and that would be very useful to the groups.
So just recently, that's a big question that we've had among our on-res organizations as well, as who can come out to their building and do presentations. So Pam Bakke, we just got an approved list of cultural presenters that have said, yes, I'm okay being contacted to do presentations. So we have a list of people with different skills. And then Pam also has a National Treasures list. And so that one she won't send that out, but she'll just kind of ask, if it's someone specific that you're wanting, she'll just, put you in contact with that person. So that list Pam has now. We just got that approved a couple weeks ago. So hopefully that'll help.
People contact Pam for that if it's not the one meeting paid for by the Cherokee Nation as well.
So what we could do is so you can use, those are names on there, like Robert's on there, Noel Grayson's on there, Danny McCarter, most of the ones that come to the at-large meetings. But what we can do is have Tammy could send that out to all of the at-large organizations. So that way everybody has access to that.
That's wonderful.
Okay. And we can continue to update that too. I mean, if we get people who, come off or they don't want to do it anymore, maybe next year we can say, okay, who wants to be on the list for this year? And we can just update it and send it out once we do that.
And so how soon is that list going to come out? Because we're already planning for 2024. So that list will be very helpful.
We can do it today.
Yay.
All right. Do you guys have anything else on the resource guide? Oh. All right. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Had another comment in that if there were Zoom presentations, it might be that some special presentations could be open to multiple at-large communities. I know on an informal basis, there are some groups that do that. I have joined Zooms that were sponsored by Capital City, Kansas City, Puget Sound, but it's been on an informal basis. I think this was a recommendation that perhaps it could be coordinated, like, okay, we're about to do a Zoom presentation with a national treasurer on such and such a date, if you, with plenty of advance notice, if you want to plan your meeting for that date.
Oh, okay. I know they do a lot, you know, they'll record somebody. I know Tanya Weevil, I seen something on her with the ribbon skirts the other day.
Yeah.
Going around on Facebook. Thought that was neat.
Anna, the one on ribbon skirts, was that recorded? Do we have access to those recordings that we could share with our group?
I think it's on Facebook. I can check and I'll let you know. All right, anything else? Okay. All right, so next on the agenda, the at-large meetings. Any feedback on those? How do you feel like those are going?
I had feedback from two groups. Kansas City gave high praise to Tammy for working with them and preparing for their March 2024 meeting. Also to Catherine Foreman Gray for her planning and presentation of the history course. And a comment that CCO always handles the CN at-large meeting smoothly and efficiently. So there's praise for you.
Good.
And then I just had a share of a plan from the Georgia group that there's a hope to have it be a multi-day activity. So that there'd be the chiefs meeting that would be open to GCCA people. But then outside activities with the hope of bringing in artists from the 3 tribes in a park and maybe some cultural presentations to educate. This is a hotbed of state recognized tribes, and I think maybe this is an effort to show authenticity to locals. And this is a tourist town. It would probably have a good draw. So that was just a share of plans.
Okay.
And I just want to say in terms of the at-large meetings, I think that's the highlight for many years. Because many people just love connecting with the chief and our other elected officials. And so we get so much positive feedback of that. So there's always little things that happen, but overall people look forward to that and they really, really appreciate.
Sorry, your phone was kind of breaking up a little bit at the end.
But it was a nice smile at the end.
Yeah. All right. And I think Wade had to step away for a minute, so
He looked like he was on duty.
what does he do?
He's a surgeon.
Surgeon.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow. Dang. All right, you guys have anything else on the meetings or anything?
If he
All
comes,
good?
come to him, go back to him, I think.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to move on to the next thing. All right, we're going to talk about the CCO Public Health and Wellness Grant.
Savannah, I think it would be useful to have the people that gave me input gave in a void because we don't really know what they are. So they gave possibilities. So I think it would be useful to have a quick outline of what these entail.
We can do that. We can make an outline. And then if you want to communicate to Patsy that ideas of what you guys hope that it could be used for, that may be something that works good too, because I want to be cognizant that you guys know what you need best. And so in the realm of that, of physical wellness, you guys may have some ideas that are different than what we see here on RES, like walking trails, partnerships with fitness locations. So we'll put together some things that we have an idea of, and then also if you guys want to do the same, that'd probably be good.
Okay, good. I did get some input. I've already shared it with
Good.
Savannah. I can highlight it here, but I gave her a good bit of, in-depth information. But, we had a doctor to weigh in who thought, like pre and post measuring of success would be important. You can see the scientist mind at work.
Mhm.
But there were also suggestions for gym memberships, transportation to and from medical appointments, rental of gym facilities, assist with seeing at-large denture cost, orthopedic shoe inserts, vitamin shop certificates. Those were some things that came out.
Yeah, those are all great things too.
There was also a mention from the doctor that I mentioned. He's here in Georgia and he works for Emory. And he said there is an opportunity, from my understanding from him, this is just at the beginning, but for Georgia, there would be an opportunity for additional funding through Emory, through a grant that they're looking at, which might be neat, to combine the two and see just how big we could make it. And, it could be like a pilot or a model if he can pull that off.
Of course, that sounds great. That sounds exciting. That's kind of what I had in mind. Anyways, is one off. Every organization may have a different idea specifically for them, and that's perfect.
I know we were trying to brainstorm at large when we had a meeting about this grant and kind of how we could, add the at large group. I think they mentioned like hosting a run, or like, nothing like big where you invite the whole public, but just doing some type of run. They do a lot of virtual runs, here whenever COVID was here, which they've just started those in person again. But that was an idea that we had for at large, was you guys doing some type of run, getting
So,
shirts for the run and all that.
So you're talking 5K, right? You're not talking like a marathon.
I wouldn't even want to do a 5K. I'm thinking fun run.
Yeah. Or a walk. You could do you could
yeah.
set up a community schedule walk where you walk 3 times a month or something like that,
A lot of people do those like 30-day, Biggest Loser type things, and you could buy something like incentive for whoever lost the most weight. I don't know.
I was going to say too, we did a little deal last month here. There was 3 different teams. You had the Columns had their team, Chief and I had our team. We had some others, and there's some apps out there. We did a steps competition. You know what I mean? We called it Keeping Up with the Chief. You know what I mean? And different things. And so you can share these across multiple groups. I mean, like, each at-large community group could have some. That's just another idea on that. And those little applications, they work really well. I figured out a way to it was a good way to just keep up with everyone. You can friend individuals, and then you can continue to do that. I think I still get readings from Officer Daniel Meade all the time. You know what I mean? He needs to pick up his game a little bit too, Savannah. If you see him, you can tell him. So, yeah.
And that's a
I
great
don't
point,
know how when
Deputy.
he's with Chief all the time.
Yeah, that's a great
They're
point, though,
driving.
Deputy, because like you said, it's that app in particular is so broad that, the Atlanta Cherokees can go in a competition against folks in LA and in Texas and wherever.
Right.
So
And
Deb-
it's all in friend, and in fun and too, but it's, we can't always get together to play stickball, right? But we can have a competition like that. And it's just daily routine. And it helped me. I got to see certain days why, and wonder, why did I walk so much that day? Why did I not walk that day? What was I doing on the weekends? And, and spending, I learned myself that, a lot of the after work activities is where I really got going. And that was family stuff. So I think that's a sense of community there. So.
All right. Anything else on the public health and wellness grant? All right, I'm gonna move on. We've got at-large local issues. Ms. Pass, do you want to go ahead?
Okay. Both state recognized groups, I won't give them the name of tribes, self-identifying Cherokees, both of those were really hot buttons with both of the groups that gave me input. Apparently there's just a whole lot of, I think one of the quotes was, they aren't just trying to sit at our table, they're running away with our table. So that was a significant issue. Another person commented on mascot, I think because you put it there, but it was, I don't particularly like it, but that is not at the top of my list. I would rather see resources expended on helping Cherokees than fighting mascots. But they also could appreciate that someone else would have a different view. So I would say from where I got feedback, the state recognition is a real issue.
This is Julia, and I'll add to that I've had some conversations with the chief recently, and Kanan, maybe he's spoken with you as well, because I brought to his attention some issues in Texas that Margaret Greco had brought to my attention. And then I also have heard a lot from Alice Taylor Colbert, who you know, Patsy,
Yes.
well, and problems that they've had in South Carolina with a group there that was being actually funded by NEH to do some language programs. That was a state group, and
That's happened here.
they were using Cherokee Nation materials that were online for free, and yet we're taking grant money, to use those free materials and so forth. And it was due to a Cherokee Nation citizen who wrote a letter about it to NEH that got that grant canceled, to that group at least. But these kinds of issues are all over the place. And I think rather than putting this, at-large groups and at-large people certainly have a role to play in all of this. But this is something that, in my opinion, and this is what I've spoken about with the chief, we really need to have something at the nation that is keeping an eye out on all of these kinds of activities, because they really, there have always been a lot of them, but they seem to be really proliferating. And I think the fact that the nation's, it was a bad informal name for it, but the fact that what we used to call the wannabe task force, sort of went into a demise some years ago for whatever reasons. We really need to have that kind of a watchdog type of group, and yeah, if that can come from the nation,
good material.
I'm
There
sorry.
were some good materials in that. I was invited to speak at University of Florida, and I used PowerPoint that was put together by that task force. And it was a very well attended. I was just one speaker in an event, but it was very well attended and it reached a lot of people.
And I think there's a real role for people in the at-large organizations who are very cognizant of this to, you know, take up the cause in their own backyard, you know, of whatever is going on in their neighborhood. But I think what you just stated is that the materials, you know, the direction, the watchdog aspect of it, this is something the nation really needs to be doing, and getting that to the at-large groups, you know, when we become aware, or when you become aware of things, and let the nation know, you know, and
Yeah.
and to have that kind of back and forth, you know, just awareness and communication about whatever we hear that is going on.
And with state legislatures, you know, numbers are important. I've had conversations with, at the time he was a state representative, he's now a state senator, about the issue, but pretty much his response was, they outvote you. So they have my support.
I've heard that as well, Patsy, from a, you know, when we were up in DC, a senator from that had a battle with the Eastern Band of the Cherokees decided to take the time from Sarah Hill to talk about his battle against them, because they're against a state recognized tribe, the Lumbees. You know, and I thought, man, this cat, he really was wanting to take, but that's that same sentiment, you know, this group here, they outvote you, they outweigh you, and they've got my support. So that's something.
Right.
And that was really the anthem. Well, we sent a lot of people to NCAI this year to try to take up that fight against those state recognized tribes. And unfortunately, the federally recognized tribes in that delegation was unsuccessful. But I don't think that we've seen the last or any of our efforts to make sure that we are the sole proprietors of what it is to be Cherokee, and that's coming. That's God's gift to each and every one of us. So.
I may have to go before we put on the
You have a
agenda.
question?
Give it to Savannah, and she has it on the agenda. Kansas City had a proposal or a suggestion about the NCAI thing that I hope that if I'm not here for the discussion, you all get to discuss. I thought it was a great idea.
Hey, Patsy, before we move on to that, I did want to add to that last discussion. Councilor Coates brought up some great points. And I wanted to let everybody know on this call that Chief has asked a team of people to look into reviving that task force and what that would look like. And so we have a team of 3 or 4 folks that are tasked to work on that, and they're supposed to be getting a game plan back with us. And Councilor Coates is going to be very much involved in that too, as well. But just want to let everybody know that that's in the works.
That
Yay.
is excellent to hear. Thank you, Kanan.
All right. Anything else on the at-large local issues? Not, I'll move on. All right. So next is whether and to what extent format would at-large organization leadership like to privately engage with Cherokee Nation administration in connection with annual Chiefs visit events?
So this is kind of going back to, I know some folks on here will remember, if not all, the days that, you know, we would do a dinner with a small dinner with the chief and deputy chief and the group, maybe either the night before or after the meeting. So we just kind of want to gauge your interest to see if you thought those were beneficial, and if so, do we want to bring those back and try to start scheduling those in conjunction with our trips?
Yeah, I think they would be beneficial. I know here at the Houston group, because our meeting is in September, I'm usually at high school football games and I'm unable to attend, but the board members who are able to go have found them to be helpful in the past. So I think that would be something good to resume.
Based on the input I got, that was also something that was mentioned by one group, and just any kind of interaction before or even after the meeting was welcome by both groups. So I would say we have a yes there.
Okay. I don't know if Cynthia got kicked off or had to leave. She might have had to leave. Okay. And then next we have creating a Cherokee Memorial Program, and this was a suggestion made by one of the GCCA members, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, by Steve Mathis. And actually what stimulated it is two of our board members, Marcia Ham and Bessie, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her last name at the moment. Their mother just died. She was long-term Bonita resident. And so Steve came up with the idea of some kind of memorial program.
Oh yeah? Oh, that's good. That also was my first time at OBJ.
Is this more for at-large Cherokee? Is this what just
Well,
is that kind of what they?
don't know that he would exclude,
Yeah.
you know, on the reservation. I mean, he's responding as an at-large member, but there's nothing in what he said that it would exclude on reservation as well.
Okay.
And
So whether it's something that's actually the expenditure of funds like planting a tree or a memorial Bible or something like that, the bigger you make it, I know you have to be concerned with cost, but just perhaps some kind of, you know, verbal memorial recognition.
And something that occurred to me when you said that, Patsy, and Deputy can clarify. He's an expert in this, but I think we could also, some of your grants, like the $25,000 grant or something like that, we could put that towards a scholarship endowment in whoever's name through the Cherokee Nation Education Foundation, and you guys would have control over, you know, reviewing applications and who gets it. And then I can't remember the endowment portion. What it seems like the foundation matches some, but that may be an option too for you.
Hey, this is
That's-
Johnny. Oh,
Grant's
I'm
got-
sorry, Patsy. You can go ahead, Patsy.
Well, that grant's going to expire, but it could be that a community would be willing to just raise money for matching funds as well.
So this is Donnie. Early on in my time traveling to our at-large communities, somebody had asked for, you know, the little flags that we have in our gift shop, the little Cherokee flags, something like that we could send if we know of someone that has passed, or a request, something that could be put at the graveside. And I noticed they're kind of too small, really. But I noticed they were selling a slightly larger flag recently when I went to the gift shop. And also I do receive a lot of requests when someone passes for some type of Cherokee ceremony, or information, what would we have done? What are the do's and don'ts during that time? So I do field a lot of those requests as well. And so I just wanted to add those two items, but you know, the little Cherokee flag for the graveside, you know, is one idea. And then maybe putting together what would have occurred during that time of passing, maybe making that more accessible to people so they can look it up or something like that. I'd be happy to work on something like that as well. So I'm not sure if that's what you're going. I don't know. Maybe I'm real off topic, but I don't know if that would be helpful at all, Patsy.
I like that. I like that. I don't think that was what the suggestion was, but I like that.
Okay. Okay.
And Patsy, at a minimum, if the organization each month can, just communicate to either Johnny or I or whoever the counselors are going forward, that someone in the organization or the state or someone that they know has passed, there is always a time during the monthly council meeting when they can be remembered there. And those meetings are recorded and they are archived, so that the family could go back and look at it at any time in the future. So that's something that we've been doing for a long time. And whenever we know, we're always very, very happy to do that.
That's good. And I think, Savannah, if that could be something that you could put out to at large,
Mhm.
so that they would know that in case they don't watch this video or.
Then I was going to say, also maybe add or include maybe something to the Cherokee Phoenix, especially if somebody was very active in the area. Maybe send a brief write-up about them to the Cherokee Phoenix, maybe see if they could either publish it or just have like an obituary section.
I'm fairly certain that the Phoenix does do obituaries. So
Say I didn't know if they did or not.
share that because they already do that.
Yeah.
But a reminder could be included.
Yeah, I think we could send out an email, just the distribution list to the at-large folks, and whether it's a couple of weeks before council meetings, and then they can submit those, and then we can send that over to Councilor Kidwell and Councilor Coates.
That's good.
All right. Anything else on the memorial program? We're gonna move on to this is what Ms. Patsy was talking about earlier. This was submitted by the Kansas group. An idea on rocking the vote to remove NCAI voting rights from state recognized tribes and their members. So, Ms. Patsy, do you want to kind of go into detail about what?
His idea was that if proxy votes on resolutions are allowed, there is a membership category within CAI for individuals. And apparently Melissa is a member, and she is of the opinion that those individuals have voting rights. So if Cherokee Nation leveraged at-large communities to join NCAI as citizens, and we could do it in some kind of way, now this is me inserting it, that all the state recognized tribes don't get wind of it and they don't do the same thing, you could increase the vote significantly if you wanted to bring it to the ballot again next year. And Melissa volunteered that she would be willing to help with the issue if people like the idea.
I think that is an outstanding idea, especially like Deputy just talked about. We just came from there, and we were able to look it right in the face as we were there. And it's tough whenever you're the largest tribe in the nation and you walk into a National Congress of American Indians and you're in the minority. And so I think that is a great idea, Patsy. I'll talk with Deputy and our government relations team and chief about it further. And I like that a lot.
I'll pass that along to Melissa. Thank you.
It-
And
it-
you'll
it
be
may be-
you'll be champion. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, good, good. I was just thinking in my head that maybe something too, where, you know, we can cover the fees for one or two folks for each at-large community. So I think I think we got some good homework to do on it.
Great. Okay. Savannah, I hate to leave you, but I've overextended already. I gotta go.
No, you're fine. I'm glad you were able to stay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. It's always good to see you.
Thank you, Patsy.
Yeah, Patsy.
Yeah.
Hello, Patsy.
All right. Any other comments on that last? No.
Nope. Those all sound like great ideas. And since I'm the last one standing, I don't really have anything else to add.
All right. Well, we don't have anything else on the agenda. That was the last thing.
Okay.
So she was able to make it for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, I
got
don't know what happened to Bruce. I know when we met about a month ago or so, I thought he was going to be on here, so I'm not sure what happened.
Okay. Well, we can get this video out. I'll make sure he gets this. And I think Patsy was taking the notes, so we can get those to him as well. I don't really know when the next one is. I don't know how we determine that, Kanan. I guess we get with Chief.
Yeah, that there should be a schedule in the law, and we'll get that.
Okay.
And I think Kevin used to send it out about a week or two after this meeting is when he would send it out. Like after one meeting happened, I think he'd get with all the folks up there and figure out what would work for the next meeting. I think they're quarterly, but I can't recall exactly.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they are quarterly. And it has something to do with Chief's calendar and
Yep.
determining all that.
Okay. So maybe we can try to set them up for the whole year, maybe. You know, go ahead and have them.
Yeah.
And Wade, I know that Patsy's gone, but I know that we're planning on meeting the board and me, I
Yeah.
believe. So we'll try to set that up maybe here in the next couple of weeks. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Y'all have a great
Thank you
day.
all. Good to see you.
We'll see y'all.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Well done, God. Happy holidays.